Sie hören Sport und Musik.
Das Spiel ist aus! Deutschland ist Weltmeister!
In a world where fans fight over whether to call it football, or soccer, two German men defy the odds and call it Fußball. Bringing you inside the German-American football experience. And now, here are your hosts, the Schnitzel Boys.
Hello. We are defying the odds. We are two
of
German
you
men.
calling it soccer or football or whatever. We defy the odds and we call it foosball.
Foosball. It's like foosball, but it's a bigger table and a bunch of the guys are real. It's like foosball.
A bunch of the guys, and not all of them, just some.
Some are robots. What if that were a great scandal? Turns out one of the best players. Turns out when Leo Messi retires, turns out he was a robot this whole time. You know the AI craze? You know the AI craze where everything's AI this and AI that and AI TV and AI improv and all this crazy. What if it's like turns out one of these soccer players like Leo Messi, what if he was AI this whole time? He was just a Tesla AI robot.
That'd be crazy.
Ruining the game.
Ruining the game by being too good?
Too good.
It seems like most of the time when you see videos of they can barely do anything properly.
I know. This Messi's ahead of his time.
That'd be amazing.
What I will say is I'm genuinely frightened by this AI stuff. The photos they create, the scripts they write. An improv teacher was doing improv scenes with it and has a very clear understanding of improv technique and making stuff up and heightening and exploring ideas. And it's like, whoa, Skynet, hello. Is this another thing that's going to help us or hinder us, Bjorn? I don't know. The future looks crazy.
Okay. I don't know.
Will an AI robot be free and be able to color correct anything they want and eliminate the need for professional color correction?
That is also a thing that's happening. Yeah. They're doing that as well. But it's what I have seen so far has not impressed me a whole lot. So I mean, it's like most technologies, right? When it's new, you project all kinds of things onto it, and then in the end, it turns out,
Well, the bigger issue is here in LA, we have little robots driving on wheels delivering food to people, which is funny. And I think London has it too. I'm sure New York has it. I don't know if you've seen it in New York, but all this stuff, like you think all this automation and these robots are built to make life easier for us, but all it does is makes life harder for us because it just eliminates jobs, and it doesn't replace. It just makes it doesn't replace. In my mind, the AI and the robotics are to do all the work for us, so we can hang out on the beach all day, not care about money as robots just fetch us food and then do all the stuff for us.
Well, that was sort of the vision.
To work.
I remember that was the vision in Germany when I grew up there, in the mid 80s. There were all these, but there it was more collective. The unions were striking for a 35-hour work week, and everybody was, and that seemed to be, the country was also really wealthy at that point. Mm-hmm. This was all before the, reunification. And so that was kind of the view of the future. I remember as a teenager, it's like, oh, we're just going to have to figure out what to do with all our time because the machines will do all the work and we're going to have lots of money. And so how are we going to, that was the question. How do we make our lives meaningful?
That's a beautiful thing. If I were
ridiculous. Yeah.
If I were president,
ridiculous now.
If I were in the UN, I'd have that meeting again. I'm like, listen, guys, all that's happened since we started computers and robots and machines is inflation, economic downturn, and everyone has to work 2 jobs now to make ends meet. That's all that's happened since we've introduced robots. We did it wrong. We went in the wrong direction. How do we flip it So it goes in the other direction, where our full work week is 2 days where we have to make sure the robots are working. We just oil them up a little bit, tighten the screws for the week. Then we get to leave, and all the robots get to go do our jobs while we have free time. How do we get that back on track? That's what I want to know.
You're asking me.
Yeah, how do we get that back?
I don't know. I mean, there is a different, also big cultural difference, because that back then it seemed it was the unions, the trade unions were on board, so it was like, oh, we're all going to still get paid, except all these machines. All the machines will do most of the work, and it's and the U.S. just does not operate that way. It's like
U.S. are like, actually, you're going to get fired, and then we're going to.
It's like, no, only the people owning the robots will get any money, and everybody else, like, who cares? Yeah.
Like at McDonald's, when the workers wanted $15 an hour, all of a sudden a bunch of automated screens just start showing up at McDonald's. They're like, oh yeah, well, you keep your $50 an hour. We're gonna put screens up and make sure only one of you is working at any given moment.
Well, I think that was also a difference that I noticed in Germany versus the US in the time when that in Germany, because it is more expensive to hire people because there's all kinds of costs and regulations and rights, etc. There is more automation. Like you have fully automated parking garages or things like that. Where here it's like, oh, way cheaper just to hire somebody
and they're worse. There. And if there is a machine, it's definitely broken. All the machines here are broken. Anyway, just like at McDonald's, the ice cream machines. Okay, Daniel Young getting us right to the point. We have Daniel Young in the chat. Bad performance, but we need to perform better on the road. Yeah, I was going to say, we got two topics. We got to talk U.S. men's national team. It was game day. We had a game. And then a little MLS. But all Daniel Young getting us right onto MLS. You want to talk MLS, and then I'll talk national team?
Well, I only watched two soccer games this weekend as I was in the mountains, as I was saying. I watched the NYCFC game, and I watched the season opener for Gotham FC.
Oh, you're a Gotham FC fan?
And I mean, well, you want to talk about that? I think
they beat my Angel City.
Listen,
FC,
I'm not going to pretend to be some kind of expert in women's soccer. I have very limited. I'll watch the World Cup. It's pretty limited. But the Gotham FC lineup of this season is stacked. Even I see that. They signed Kelly O'Hara as a free agent. They have Ali Long is back as a D mid from having a baby. Ali Krieger is playing. I mean, some of these Lynn Williams.
Where are they playing at Red Bull Arena?
Mitch Purse. They play at Red Bull Arena. I mean, it's just it's a sick lineup, and so I am kind of curious, and so I did watch them, and I mean, they've been very unsuccessful as a team. They did very poorly last season, and but now the lineup is, and that game was fun. It was fun to watch, and they looked like they were going to get slaughtered. They looked to be down 2-0 in the first 15 minutes, and the second goal was called back on a dubious some semi-dubious foul call, and then Gotham City came back, won on the road 2-1. It was pretty exciting. I enjoyed watching it. I'm going to keep following them throughout the season because that is a good looking lineup.
Oh, was the game here in LA?
Yes.
I've been to Angel City FC, June Endo.
June. I was also I was just going to say that I was very impressed. I didn't know anyone on Angel City. But June Endo, incredible! What an incredible player, and she scored that second goal that was called back, which was quite. She sort of chipped the keeper from midfield, and she didn't do anything wrong. It was her teammate that got called for the foul. Very impressed with her. And the first half it looked like Angel City would just destroy Gotham, but then they came back. It's fun.
Well, Angel City, I think, missed the playoffs last year, so they're going to want to have better.
That was their first. Last year was their first year or their second year?
Yes. I'm kind of like
Yeah.
you. I'm not an expert. I watched the World Cup. I follow the women's national team. I watched some, and I went to an Angel City game last year live. It was a lot of fun. I'm trying to go to more this year and
Right.
trying to get into
Yeah, no,
it.
this was in
yeah.
this was in LA, but I would go to some games. I'm
They're
interested.
fun. Yeah, I went to the Angel City game. It was a lot of fun. So good on them. Beginning of the season.
If we want to talk about NYCFC, they played in Houston briefly. Well, I mean,
there's not much to say, right?
It was just a poor. This game had like there were two pretty toothless teams in this game, and this game
who was missing for NYCFC? How many players do you have missing?
We were only missing two: Maxime Chanot and our new young Slovenian right back. But which in theory wouldn't be that big a deal. But since we have not replaced Alex Collins as a center back, Nick Cushing opted to play James Sands as a center back, not give Tony Alfaro the start or Samuel Owusu. They have other center backs, but they did not get the nod, and so then James Sands had to move back, and he played well. But when he's not in the midfield, there was definitely a lack of connection between defense and offense, and also the Houston press worked well. And they played. But they were also, both teams were pretty toothless, and this game deserved a scoreless tie in general because there were not a lot of chances really on either end, and it was kind of I think for a neutral probably pretty would have been a pretty hard to watch game.
Yeah.
But then we lost on a pretty soft VAR. Penalty.
I did
call.
see that. It was. Did you think so? Is that a penalty or is that not a penalty? I saw that. I'm like,
it's a penalty. Called it. I don't know. I thought it was. Once he goes to the monitor, 95%. I don't know what the actual numbers are, but like 95% of the time, that's it. And once he went to the monitor, I was like, oh boy. And I don't think I would have called that. It seemed pretty soft. It was
soft.
But and especially sort of, whatever. Not that matters, but like, it's not like anything. They created anything, or like, oh, this was inevitable. This was a game that should have ended in a scoreless tie because these teams were not really generating a lot of anything. And so, that's it. That's really all I have to say. These road trips are always tough, right? You get on a plane, you go to Texas. Just like that. This was not we had a full week's rest, so I don't know, no real excuse, but it looked a little disconnected. There was just not a lot of connection between the front and the back. The everybody was just going very deep, and so it was not a lot of chances.
Right. So out of 5 games, 2 losses, right? 2 losses, 1
2
win.
wins. Yeah.
Was it 2? What's the record? 2 losses, 2 wins, and a draw.
Yeah, 2-1-2. Mm-hmm.
All right, that's fine. That's the area code, right?
It's the area code.
As long as you're doing your area.
And I was talking to somebody today. It's like, I definitely expected a slow start. We have a lot of turnover. The people arrived late, and I definitely think, it's fine. We'll see how it goes. Richie Ledesma arrived. That was the big news. He came off the bench.
Oh, he played?
He is not. Cool. He played. Yeah, he played. Came off the. Didn't see a whole lot. What I was surprised by, because on paper he looks like one of those reclamation projects. And you would think, like, is he going to be Keaton Parks? Or is he going to be Gideon Zelalem? Who knows? But Nick Cushing, the way the coach talked about him this week, he sounded like he thought of him as a starter. He's like, oh yeah, he's definitely. We'll have to figure out how he can coexist with Santi Rodriguez. They have to both get on the field. He was talking like that. He wasn't like, oh, we'll see how it goes. It's like, no, he's a starter to him. And so we'll see.
He's the kind of signing I love. I think that's a great signing. That's a good get. I wish we would have gotten him.
We've had
one of those guys, a young American who goes to Europe early as a prodigy or whatever promise. And he did well in Holland. He wasn't a failure. But he spent all of his time in the youth squads. And this is his opportunity to come back with some experience and get some senior minutes. And people, this is a great kickstart for some players.
Yeah,
and
we have, and
this is what MLS should be for, to grab American players back and give them minutes if they're just not getting it. You know what I mean? This is what an MLS club should be for, and to catch American players that need to come back.
Yeah, and we've done well with that. Keaton Parks is really the best example of
Right.
this going well,
From
and then
Benfica.
we have some
Yeah.
examples of this not going as well. Juan Pablo Torres or Gideon Zelalem, other people who have not really caught on the same way. We'll see how Gabe Siegel performs. Nick Cushing keeps saying how he's working hard. He has yet to see a single minute of action.
Okay.
But he's one of those. And we'll see. I mean, it's exciting. It's another midfield signing, which we need. So we're now really only short a number 9 and a center back. And then that'll be it.
What's the number 9 you guys were going to get that we texted that? Was it Robert Lewandowski? What's the number 9?
Yeah, Robert Lewandowski. He's leaving Barcelona. We're holding a DP spot for him.
Nice. I'd be into that.
He's probably not. I mean, we're that's why this is taking so long. We're trying to get him on a TAM deal, but
I'd say even less than TAM. Get him
that may not work. So then he has
get him on $100K a year. Get him on a nice $100K a year contract. Okay, so Daniel Young, we got Hans Wolf joining the party. You're on the stream now. How you doing, Hans Wolf? Welcome to this stream. Yeah, we do 2 separate streams. It makes more sense for later. So that on YouTube, there are 2 separate videos for people to watch. Because not everybody loves both Germany and the United States like we do. But you're in the right place. So NYCFC thing. So Bjorn, do you remember what I texted you over the weekend? I texted you something. You probably were skiing or winter wonderland or something. Keep looking.
What are you referring to?
I texted you something on Saturday while watching the New York Red Bulls play.
Oh, that it was a wrestling match.
It's a wrestling match.
Charlotte
it was a wrestling
match.
Versus
Red Bulls has become
New York
a wrestling
Red Bulls
match.
Went down to Charlotte, and they got a 1-1 draw, so another road draw. Good on you guys. And I was just happy to get out of there with a 1-1 draw, because there was, if you ever get a chance in the recap or whatever, there was a full-on. It was a very chippy game. I think this was the first game of a new referee. He kept being like, "Welcome to MLS." It was this ref's first MLS game, and I think he gave out 7 or 8 yellow cards throughout the game, which is a lot, right? However, he was shorted. He should have given out 2 red cards to Charlotte, one in the first half, one in the second half, but he did not. And the Charlotte, the Red Bull fans agreed it was a shitty refereeing job. So welcome to the league, whoever you are. Thanks for a shitty job. So in the first half, Charlotte player.
If you're sorry to interrupt, but if you don't like the MLS referees, you should have. That guy at the NWSL game was really struggling too yesterday. But
I love that these are our best refs. The MLS refs, which are full of mistakes, are the best ones we got.
It seems. It seems like in general, I think the women's game, I think history has shown the women's game does not always attract the best and brightest of men.
I mean, pro is MLS, NWSL. It's USL.
The guy had a pro badge on his chest.
So these MLS refs are presumably like the cream of the crop, right? Isn't that sort of how that would work? You use the others to work your way up, maybe. Anyway. Long story short, it was I'm glad we got a tie. Good crowd, good field, but again, very rough on our heels. In the first half, a Charlotte defender went studs up over the sock, flying into John Tolkien, someone's leg. Right? Red card right off the bat, like red card instantly. He was just given a warning, not even a yellow. Not even a yellow for a studs up on the leg, off the ball thing. And I'm like, what the heck? That's a red card, moron, you schmuck. Take your red out. That's a red card. So that was missed. And that created a culture of the Charlotte players being like, hey, we're allowed to do this.
We get to do whatever.
And they definitely did it. And then in the second half, in midair, again, I don't know the players, a Charlotte player jumped and elbowed a Red Bulls player like this straight into his head, smacked him on the ground, off the ball, Not even a yellow card. Also another warning.
Hey,
It's like,
hey.
that's also a red card, moron. This isn't a wrestling match. Punish the damn players for playing like wrestlers. So it was a little bit of a chippy match. So we got our 1-1. We were up, I think, 1-0, and then Charlotte got an equalizer. And I'm just like, I think that we missed a winning opportunity at the end. Even though we were the road team, we had the ball plenty. Like we had a very confident performance. But I was just like, after a while, I was like, this isn't even a soccer game. Just fucking stay healthy and get out of there. And that's exactly what happened. So that was the Red Bulls Charlotte 1-1. You know, the replays on the broadcast were limited when that happened because I think that they knew this ref was doing a bad job, so they limited the replays on the broadcast.
It's like
they're like, we have to make sure you don't see that again.
The media conspiracy theory.
The media conspiracy theory. So that was the New York Red Bulls. That's us. Now, I would love to talk about two other quick games to touch on that are worth mentioning.
I mean, there was a lot of odd. It's hard to know who's good.
Yeah.
I guess it's always with the international break. It's always frustrating when a lot of people are missing, but a lot of teams that we thought were good lost this week, right?
Thiago
and the big one that you're talking about, right? Yes, Thiago Almada.
It turns out it's a bigger loss than we realized. Turns out, and he scored for Argentina, by the way. Argentina won 2-0.
Oh yeah, that's right.
1 goal from Messi, 1 goal from Thiago Almada.
Very touching the way that the Argentinian team, I saw some video of that, got celebrated after this was their first home game since the World Cup.
They all put the gloves on.
Everybody cried. Messi cried, and
were they crying while they were humping with the thing on their thing? Did they have the glove and put it in front of their crotch? And is that what they were doing?
No, they were. This was before the game. The fans were serenading them, and everybody was touched and crying. No, Emmy kept his pants on, didn't yell at anybody.
There's a photo of 5 guys in a row doing that somewhere. Maybe that's from beforehand.
Interesting. Oh, I didn't see that.
Anywho, yeah, but and I guess Miles Robinson, who's healthy finally, was with the U.S. team. So, Atlanta United lost 6-1 in Columbus. And Columbus had like 5 different goal scorers or something, like a bunch of debut goals. They're just like, everybody gets a goal against this schlock team. Poor Brad Guzan. So that was the big shock result of the weekend. Columbus 6-1 over Atlanta United. So good on
Columbus. That's who NYCFC is playing next. I was getting a little worried about Atlanta looking very good, but I guess I don't know. But he'll be back presumably. Yeah, that was a big win. Miami lost at home to Chicago. I saw a little bit of that. Kai Kamara gets the stoppage time winner. He set some record. This was his 10th team that he scored for in MLS. He's chasing I guess number 3 all time. It's just wild, right? Like Kai Kamara, he's good enough to play for 10 different teams, but also there's also something going on.
Kai Kamara got in trouble once for his socks and he appealed it and showed photos of other players' socks. And I love Kai Kamara. I gotta love Kai Kamara. Orlando beat Philly 2-1, and all 3 of those goals were all scored by the 17th minute. So that was interesting game. But the other big thing, the biggest story in MLS right now is St. Louis City SC.
That's the only team that keeps winning. And this was decisive. I did not see the highlights. Did somebody pass it again? If you saw
the highlights, you would have seen twice that Joel Klaus got a pass too. There's something's going on.
How did they negotiate this?
The Klaus clause joke is becoming a real thing. Joel Klaus, he was just standing there. A defender passes it right to him again. Turner open on goal. Then another one of his goals was also pretty much a defensive interception. On Twitter, Manuel Veit is saying, "Oh yeah, MLS has never seen high press like this before. This is just the defenders not knowing how to handle the high press strategy." And I was like, "Get the F out of here! Get lost! Never seen high press before. You kidding me? You kidding me right now?"
I mean, but what is it though? I ventured to speculate recently that this was part of their contract, the expansion fee negotiation, that we will pay this exorbitant amount, but it's for the first 8 games of the season we need one pass to the Klaus clause.
Well,
So
he got 2 passes this past week. I think it just boils down to Joe Klaus
Or-
being a very good poacher. It's as simple as that. He's a good poacher.
he
Positions
just looks
himself
like a
well.
guy you want to give the ball to.
Yeah, and that's what they do. He's in the right place at the right time. All of his goals are scrappy poacher goals. He's not running it from one end to the other.
He expresses real joy when he scores them. I mean, it's fun to see.
The Roman Berkey, Edvard Löwen, Joao Klaus trio is working. Lutz Pfannenstiel, it's 5 games, 5 wins, undefeated, 4-0 at Salt Lake. Lutz Pfannenstiel and the Germans who design rosters should get plaudits because Lutz Pfannenstiel did it right.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, they're making the playoffs, right? They have to be pretty dramatic collapse.
They introduced this fancy new high press concept from Europe, so that's fun.
The MLS defenders are like,
what
people
is
running
this?
at me.
We've never seen this before.
People are coming at me. What to do?
Jesse Marsh has never coached. Bradley Carnell wasn't his assistant or anything. It's all brand new.
It's all brand new stuff.
Okay, so that was that. We got Daniel Young. Love the Bundesliga. The fact to give young players a chance. Amen. Red Bulls talk about City Field, and Daniel Young's excited because he lives on the Q44 bus line. So it's cool. So you're excited about the shift to Queens and their new stadium and all that.
I don't think it seems like from what I've been hearing, I don't think there's going to be more City Field, but it's all with this new Apple schedule. The scheduling for NYCFC is very difficult between the baseball season, even with 2 baseball stadiums. It's hard to get them all in because there's now even less flexibility. Plus the baseball schedule has changed where now they don't like these super long road trips. So everything has become more difficult. So they're just trying to squeeze these games in any which way they can. So I don't think they're going to switch more to City Field. It's just going to be tough for the next few years until we finally get that stadium.
Yeah, and also we've seen already, remember when they announced that like all games are on Saturdays and Wednesdays, no exceptions. We've already seen 2 or 3 exceptions, right? Like I think the Revs played on a Sunday once. Like they'll give you a Sunday game if you need a Sunday game. So NYCFC, I predict, will get quite a few exceptions.
You think it's going to get easier? Yeah, perhaps.
Name any other club. I mean, NYCFC is really the only club that needs more they should get the most exceptions because they need the most exceptions. Every other MLS club controls their stadium.
Yeah,
except for NYCFC.
We have the hardest lot.
Right. The biggest challenge. Red Bulls versus NYC will be at City Field. Is that a guess or is that happening or what is that? Red Bulls.
Daniel is saying that this will be at City Field more often than not. He's saying we're going to shift more games to City Field, and I think that is going to happen to some extent, but I think there's also just a limit to how much of that can happen because it's just not that easy to fit them all in.
Yeah,
with the limited openings in the baseball schedule. Because it takes so this is the thing that I don't understand. They're saying the thing that they always completely treat as non-negotiable is that it takes 3 days to change the field, and then it takes 3 days to change the field back. It seems like there's a way to speed that up, maybe. I don't know. But I guess I'm sure this has all been explored. I'm not saying
we've talked about this in the past. I'm sure there is, but the Yankees have no interest in doing anything other than their slow-ass, pristine 3-day process. You know what I mean? I'm sure NYCFC is like, hey, can we do a 1-day or a 2-day? And the Yankees are like, sure, we're not going to. We're going to do it the way we do it because we give 2 craps about you. Am I wrong?
Yeah, I mean, it's. I mean, I don't have any. I think you're probably right. Yeah, I don't think the Yankees have not exactly
so I was thinking about
gone out of their way to help us.
I was thinking about this the other day. So here in LA, we've got 2 teams with 2 local owners, very invested and blah, blah, blah. And MLS would always have loved for that to be in New York. But the case in New York, the problem with New York City is we have 2 teams, but both teams were likely sort of engineered by the league. The New York Red Bulls were bought by Red Bull in Austria and blah, 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 blah. And there's Austria there. and the relationship between the league and Austria is who knows, and also it's from 2006. If Red Bull called today to invest in a team, I don't know if the league would have approved that. But they wanted a second team in New York. Don Garber was once quoted, if there was a book on MLS, chapter 20 right now would be MLS in New York. The whole office, all we're trying to do is get this new New York team going. And the original idea was to build a stadium, have it be built, and then auction off the stadium to the highest bidder to be the owners. What ended up happening was, I think Don Garber had some buds and engineered it and pulled off a thing where he finagled Citigroup to invest from overseas, and then had his buds at Yankee Stadium maybe get in on it. But I would put money that Don Garber and the league office spent years campaigning to try to engineer that move. Like Citigroup didn't call Don Garber. I think Don Garber called.
You mean CFG, City Football Group?
Yeah. CFG. Like Yankees didn't call Don Garber. Don Garber called the Yankees. That would be my guess. I mean, he made that happen. So both teams in New York are owned by owners that were engineered by the league, and it causes difficulties. We saw with the Yankees. We've seen plenty of stuff with Austria, but the original, all the stadiums. The original stadium concept was canceled in the Bronx because the Yankees wanted 20 more parking spaces, or something, and it's just New York City doesn't have any local owners who are really invested, where LA has a plethora of local owners who are invested.
This was going to be, I mean, I don't know. CFG, obviously, yeah, they're a global organization financed by Abu Dhabi, but the club has definitely taken root in the community. It's not like they're just, there's a lot of stuff going on. They do a lot of stuff locally,
but who do you think called who? Who called who first?
Oh, to get the team going? No, I'm sure you're right. I'm sure that's fun. But at this point, in order to get this stadium deal done, they had to really enmesh themselves into the local fabric. It's not like they were just handing them a stadium. So, and once this happens, the team is going to take off in a big way.
I think so. Daniel Young, we should play more games at the St. John Soccer Stadium in Jamaica, Queens. You've been to that
Belson,
one, right?
Yeah, that's where NYCFC 2 play, and they've played some Open Cup games there. Same in Fordham. In Fordham, there was one game I think we lost to the Cosmos. I think an Open Cup game a long time ago. Yeah, I like Belson. I go there for NYCFC 2 games. Sometimes a very pleasant place to watch a game on a summer afternoon. But it is turf. It's on top of a parking garage, and it's got like 2,000 seats, maybe. It's not like it's not MLS size.
It's the next pro stadium, I think. But historically, the New York Cosmos, other than playing a giant stadium or Yankee Stadium, they would play at the stadium on Rikers. What's the island? That was Randall's. One of those two islands.
Randall's, yeah.
Randall's, I think.
And there was some talk. There was some talk about the horse track. You mean the track,
the race
track and field,
track and field, horse track.
No horses, humans.
Yeah, humans. That would have been a good spot, a fun spot for a stadium. Would have been unique.
Yeah. There was that Queensboro Stadium. There were all kinds of things in the works as a temporary situation, but now we're full on ahead. Although there is going to be also something happening. This is what we heard from NYCFC CEO Brad Sims on this recent interview tour. He wants the NYCFC 2 team to be somewhere else,
like in Staten Island, so have a different
rebranded as its own team and its own community with its own perhaps fan base.
Very minor league baseball.
I don't know. This could be. I don't know. Could be anywhere. It could be Staten Island. Could be
Long
Island somewhere. That's in the works, and that's a few years away. But that's also on the radar. He thinks that this team has some potential. They have.
That's the Bethlehem Steel model.
To be an actual moneymaker and not just be like a development tool. So that's interesting. We'll see.
Yeah, that's the Bethlehem Steel model. It's like they have their own city, their own thing, but they are the Philadelphia Union's second team. Yeah, I think that's smart. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
The Rochester team was the only independent one in the league, and they just folded.
They went kaput. Rest in peace. No more Jamie Vardy investing into.
He thought that was in New York City, I bet.
He's like, oh, it's just a 20-minute
Rochester.
commute.
This is what? Where?
It's out in the burbs. Yeah, it's out in the burbs. No, 100%. I've done that drive. It's a 7-hour drive. New York State is a big state. Okay. Lastly on the docket, Major League Soccer played through a FIFA date, which they love doing, which is always going to be bonkers to me. But they did it again.
Yeah, Jordan Morris, by the way, scored 4 goals after not being called up. He's like, I'll show you.
Thanks for bringing that up. So Jordan Morris had a 4-goal game. Jordan Morris, when he's on fire, he's on fire. He's one of my favorite players. Unfortunately, at the World Cup and last season, he was just coming off a big ACL. Takes a while to get back to form. But this season, we are seeing the old Jordan Morris again. And it's sad because we didn't see it at the World Cup when we needed it. But it's nice that he's back. And this is a crazy theory of mine. Tell me what you think.
Let's hear it.
Jordan Morris is the modern-day Landon Donovan. And it's a litmus test to show how much U.S. soccer and MLS and landscape has changed. Because Jordan Morris was this little young prodigy, great guy who Klinsmann scouted right out of Stanford. He played for the national team before he signed pro. And then he was offered this contract to go to Werder Bremen. But he's like, nah, I want to hang out in Seattle. He didn't really, he wants to be a big fish, small pond. Went to Seattle, became the star in Seattle. Became this U.S. star. He's just such a great player when he's on form. The 2017 Gold Cup, always remember that. And then one of those things where it's like, then he went to England, to Wales, broke his leg or something. Right away, came back. Like, whatever, it never worked for him in Europe.
Yeah.
He's a big fish, small pond talent. However, not a lot of eyes are on him because in this current generation of USA and MLS, we have all these great youngsters heading to Europe. And we got your Christian Pulisic, we've got your Tyler Adams, we've got your Weston McKennies, we got Gio Reynas, we got all these other guys that are taking all the sponsorships and the plaudits and the focus. That Jordan Morris doesn't necessarily have to carry the weight of that. We're back in Landon Donovan's day. He was a young whippersnapper, U17, went to Bayer Leverkusen, got homesick, wanted to go back to California, never really left California, stayed here, didn't really like to be pressured. But all of the U.S. media and all of the U.S. soccer media was always on his shoulders to try to round him up and make him. He's the star. Mm-hmm. This is our star. It's Landon Donovan. There was no Americans crushing it in Europe, really. Not a lot. You had DeMarcus Beasley doing well, but really it was Landon Donovan is our star. And, is Landon Donovan more talented than Jordan Morris? Probably. I'm not saying they're like to like talent-wise, but it's not that big of a difference. And also, Landon Donovan was just an attacker. Was he a forward? Was he a midfielder? He never knew. He was in a league that didn't have to pigeonhole him because he was a big fish in a small pond, and he was just an attacker who could roam and score. He just did whatever he wanted to. And Jordan Morris is kind of that, too. He's a 9. He's a winger. What is he, an attacker? So that's sort of my thing. Jordan Morris is essentially like Landon Donovan 2.0. However, the U.S. soccer landscape is so different that he's like a minor player in this version of the U.S. soccer landscape.
All right. I'll allow it. I mean, does he have, I'm not like up on Landon Donovan's stats. Is he does he score at a similar clip than Landon Donovan? I guess
probably not. But also,
I guess he has a lot of injury. Yeah, that's true. He's missed a lot of time. He's certainly this weekend. He's off to a good start in making up some ground
this season. I think he's already had a couple of these. He's back on form. Hopefully, knock on wood, came up. And definitely, if this is the form he's in, back to the U.S. national team with that young man, with that boy, with that elder statesman.
Yeah.
Speaking of national team, the U.S. men's national team had 2 games, including one that finished just an hour ago. These were the CONCACAF Nations League pre-qualifiers, whatever they're called.
That fine tournament that we all are so passionate about.
Super tournament. So they are now, because of their 2 wins, they are now going to the semis to play, I think, Canada or someone, and then to maybe face Mexico in the finals again, which we remember from last time, that great game in Denver.
That was fun.
What a great game. I think it's in Vegas this year. I'm actually going to try to go. I think it's in June in Vegas. I'm going to try to be there. Your boy Schnitzel. Stay at the casino, maybe gamble a little bit. Put $100 on our boys, perhaps. But we went to Grenada last week, little baby Grenada, and with a very confident 7-1 win. And the Grenadans, who's essentially a bunch of semi-pros and USL players and whatnot, got a goal. In fact, they almost scored. They almost equalized early. Like, it was almost even the first 10, 15 minutes. Good for them. But then the U.S. controlled the game, had a good time. Everyone, Weston McKennie got a couple goals. I think Ricardo Pepi scored. Brendan Aronson scored. Christian Pulisic assisted all 3 of the early goals. It was just a really well-rounded performance from everybody. The defense maybe a little suspect, but, Matt Turman did get a couple good saves in there. But a confident 7-1 win. And it was like they played a type of freedom that we haven't seen in a while. 2 stats. They have never scored 7 goals on the road before, I think. So this is the highest scoring road game they've ever had.
Mm-hmm.
And get this stat. This is the first time since the inception of Major League Soccer in 1996 that no Major League Soccer players were on the field for a U.S. national team game.
I was going to say that.
It was a fully foreign team. Now, Anthony Hudson has explained because MLS is not breaking for the FIFA break, he did lean on a European heavy roster. But, it didn't see if I couldn't have noticed. Those were the strongest people in every position. Matt Turner in goal, Joe Scally is left back. I thought he did a good job. Who do they have right back? Brian Reynolds.
Brian Reynolds.
Brian Reynolds.
Okay.
Right back. And then, Pulisic and Reyna and McKennie and Daryl Dike. Was he there? I don't know. But it was a foreign-based squad, and it was...
Daryl Dike got the start today.
Try to think if he had minutes. I think it was Ricardo Pepi was the start against Grenada, I think.
Oh, I think so, yeah.
And then today was the more challenging game. They hosted El Salvador in Orlando. We saw Ricardo Pepi came off the bench in the second half and scored the goal in the 60th minute or so. And that is it. It was a 1-0 home game. The first half, which I watched very closely, was very sloppy from the U.S. A lot of El Salvador just fouled us because they knew we would do nothing with our free kicks, and we didn't do anything with it. Christian Pulisic was ass the first half. Every one of his touches was terrible. He did the old lose. He's the turnover machine. Grab the ball and they got it from him right away.
Hero ball. Christian Pulisic, hero ball.
I'd love to stop seeing that. Meanwhile, Gio Reyna, no one's passing to him. And then finally he got his feet on the ball and he kicked against the post.
Oh, no one's passing to him? I wonder why.
That might be a thing, man. I hope it isn't. It'd be weird to get rid of that shit. Split the costs. Give it to Pulisic sometimes. Give it to Ray the other time. Let them pass to each other. They still need to figure out each other a little bit. However, so the first half was frustrating because our free kicks are terrible. Terrible. They're always out of bounds. It's like you can't do anything with all these damn free kicks.
Needed Kellen Acosta to deliver a cross.
Or Reyna. Pulisic kicked them all, and Pulisic has been doing our free kicks for a year and a half now, and I think he's done 0 of them good. It's just all been really, 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 really bad.
0 of them good.
Right? That's just what it feels like to me.
Christian Pulisic, why do you not do the free kicks good?
I do the free kicks because I'm number 10, you see.
I do free kick bad.
I do free kick bad.
Do free kick good. Why not do free kick good?
I kick ball hard. It goes away. It goes far away. It goes out of bounds. I'm the only one on the ball. There's not even another option, like a Gio Reyna, for instance, or like you said, a Kellen Acosta. We've hired this free kick coach. He needs to do better, man. He's been booked for a while now. He needs to do better.
It's so weird that there are these interim coaches still. Greg Berhalter is hanging out. It's all just odd. It's all odd.
Recent interviews said that there's a good chance the new coach won't be hired until next September. And I was like, what the F? What is your deal? How many national team programs wait a year between coaches?
They need to take a page out of the Bayern book. Like, just, fire. Decide quickly and do it over a weekend.
Do it now.
Get together and that's it.
I know. Last time it took 13 months to hire Greg Berhalter, and that was a ridiculous, nonsensical ridiculousness. And then I thought maybe they would learn, but no, we're like, hey, let's do it again. I think they're about to do it again, man. I don't think we're going to have a permanent coach until the fall, which would blow my mind.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I mean, they do things a certain way.
Slowly, but not super surely.
It's not always great. Well,
maybe they fired Brian McBride early, or he quit early. It's like he left and Ernie Stewart left. It's like, well, hold on. If Ernie Stewart was going to leave, it's like, Brian, stay and take over the job or something. I don't know.
This is yeah, it's a mystery. We'll find out more. But we're doing this well tonight at a very lean 45 minutes again.
That's right.
Well done, Stefan. Well done.
Hey, this is how we're going to do it.
I guess this is how we're going to do it. I'm just going to stop watching games, and that way it's going to be much faster.
Well, if the NYCFC has a bad game, we can keep that to a 5 to 10 minute analysis.
It's true. It's true. I'm definitely more verbose when we win.
Yeah. Well, it's all good. It's all good. I mean, our clientele, no matter how many times we want Red Bulls fans on, they're not coming. So they have to listen to it on demand or something. But anyway, we've got MLS next week. US did the 2 wins. Good for them. I am going to my first MLS game of the season next week. I'm going to the LA Galaxy game. I think they're playing the Sounders. Where are they playing?
I don't know. NYCFC is on the road at New England. Hold on. I'll look at the schedule.
LA Galaxy
you're playing the Red Bulls
Sounders
on the road at Atlanta. You're going to get your
Red Bulls at Atlanta. That's
Thiago's going to be back, and you're going to get your ass kicked.
I don't think so. I think
it's going to be another draw, another ugly draw.
We're good against Atlanta. I don't think Atlanta's ever beaten us, or maybe they've beaten us once.
Never.
We're good against them.
I was at a game where Atlanta beat you in the playoffs.
Was that? We have a good record against Atlanta. That's what I'm going to say. Going to Atlanta has never bothered us.
I've seen that game live. Where Almiron was still playing, and somebody threw a glove at him. This was
that was at Red Bull Arena, right?
At Red Bull, yeah. I didn't go to Atlanta to watch. The Red Bulls play. Yeah, and then somebody threw a glove because this was in December or at late November. Threw a glove at Almiron, and he went down as if he had been shot. Rolled around the sideline as if his testicles had been amputated. It was wild.
Flappy. Yeah. Well, we'll see.
Anyway, did I say NYCFC on the road in New England?
That's right.
Anything else? Anything else big? St. Louis at home against Minnesota may just win another one. Who's to say?
I get this, Bjorn. Maybe you can join me for this. I have a crazy idea to go to Missouri to do like a road trip to watch St. Louis SC and then Sporting Kansas City, both at home. And there is a weekend, randomly, where one game's on a Saturday and the other game's on a Sunday.
Yeah, except they're all on Saturdays.
No. Look it up. May 27th and May 28th.
Oh.
All right, I said already looked it up.
Oh, that's Memorial Day.
Is that
I can't go. I have plans.
Well, one's on a Saturday, one's on a Sunday. I'm going to maybe fly out there, rent a car, go to one, and go to the other. Just because.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, it'd be fun. Do an MLS vacation. What we should do? We should go to Texas and try to hit up all 3 in a week.
Do we play? Is NYCFC play St. Louis this week? I don't remember. This year. Not this week. This year. We still haven't, it's year 3 or 2. No, year 3 for Austin. We still haven't played them.
Right. I don't think the Red Bulls plays them this year either. The closest the West Red Bulls are coming is they're doing a Real Salt Lake game. Toying with the idea of going to that.
We're going to Salt Lake. We're going to Portland. Big trips. Big West Coast trips.
But
that's it.
With the Nations League in Vegas, and apparently Germany and the USA are still playing sometime in October. I'd love to go to that.
That will go. That will do.
That'll go. And then I'm going to Germany right after that. So what a great precursor for me. Then go to Deutschland.
Amazing.
I can watch some Bundesliga games. I'm all about soccer. It's the season of soccer, summer of soccer. It's spring. I'm going out to games again. Finally, it's been a long, weird winter here in LA. It's been cold. It's been rainy as heck. It's been very uncharacteristically weird.
Here today, springtime is here in New York City. In Vermont, there was snow this weekend. There's still a lot of snow on the ground. It's still winter, but here it's spring.
Are you ever going to go to a Vermont Green game?
Yeah, probably. Burlington is a little far from where our place is, so it's not. But yeah, at some point, I mean, we may build a house. That's what was decided this week.
What if that's where NYCFC 2 was? They moved to Killington, Vermont.
Oh my God, what a dream!
Match made in heaven.
I'll be the president.
You're going to Vermont. Don't miss the Ben and Jerry's tour, because that's what Ben and Jerry's ice cream is. I've been there. I've done the tour.
I've been to the Ben and Jerry's tour. Are you kidding?
Beautiful. So you went to the flavor graveyard where they have all the old dead flavors?
Uh-huh.
Oh, man. We're Ben and Jerry's brothers. The Schnitzel Boys, Ben and Jerry's, fanatics. Shout out to Burlington. All right, this has been USA Soccer Hour. Fun. Like and subscribe. We have no ratings or reviews on iTunes. If you want to be a pal, give us some ratings. If you want to be a pal, like the video.
First person gets a t-shirt. First person to leave us a review and rating will get a t-shirt.
I agree to that, Bjorn. That's a brilliant thing. First person to leave it gets the Schnitzel Boys t-shirt. Excellent. All right. Tschüss. Bis nächste Woche.